So how do we build a pre-performance routine? Now, I want to give you a pre-performance routine for, or perhaps you're in two camps. Perhaps you don't have one at all. You don't have an idea of what your pre-performance routine is, or you actually have one and you might need to develop it. So I'll address both of them. I'll obviously start with, if you do not have a pre-performance routine, how do you start to build one? How do you start to build this pre-pressure moment routine, or this full pre-performance routine? I feel like I'm oversaying it. It's just very difficult to say. So the initial thought with this is, you do want to make a pre-performance routine your own. You want to make this your own unique thing. It is yours. It's not someone else's. Having said that, if you don't have one, you may want to start to look for inspiration from someone that does have one. So it might be a role model. It could be someone that you admire in the team of yours, or just an athlete that you've seen doing one and you've heard of something. Try to take inspiration from other people if you don't know, or work with your coach. Your coach may have done one. Someone around you, a leader, may have already got one themselves, and you can start to gain inspiration from that. But if you do want to create your own unique one, what I encourage you to do first off is, when you have a good performance or when you have a good training session, note down all of the things that you have been doing that went well. This could be technical parts to your game. This could be tactical. It could be the thoughts you were saying to yourself, or what someone was saying to yourself, and that resonated with you. Everything that was positively going on in that moment, write it down and see what resonates and what you think was a great attributor to getting that good performance. You may want to start to experiment with some different things. So you may want to experiment with ones that you think will work. And if that works for you, then great, go with that. You may also have something that you're working on as a skill, for example. And if you are developing your pre-performance routine, you might be working on one specific skill, and it could be just focusing on a very foundational part of that skill. So focus on making sure that you're not trying to overcomplicate this, and build your pre-performance routine through a few things that are foundational to that skill. And I'll get onto it in a bit, but your pre-performance routine will evolve. So even if you are taking a really early stage, basic, beginner process or action that you're going to focus on to begin with, to start that routine out, and like everything, focusing on the basics is really fundamental, and you just hear elite athletes talk about it all the time. Even if you are focusing on those fundamentals, like, don't discredit that. That is really important. That can be really, really helpful, because if you get that right, you've at least built a good, strong foundation. So if your pre-performance routine is built off a very foundational skill that you're focusing on, could be just something like watching the ball. It could be a very simple phrase that you're saying to yourself. Could be one thing that you're just focusing on in your skill, and that is it. That's fine. That's where we start. It hasn't got to be overly complicated. It hasn't got to be something really high level or really elite, or what we might think of elite. Sometimes the most basic things really do work. So don't worry about that. Focus on what feels good for you. Make sure that whatever you're doing does feel right. You're not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and it's not something that you're trying to manufacture without it really feeling good for you. Make sure that you're taking those technical cues, you're not overcomplicating them. You want to start with something that's really just simple to remember. And again, write it down. Once you've just started this process, start to write down. I remember putting things down in a diary for myself and building out a routine. And I remember I would do something on a Monday, I'd write it down, then I'd try to repeat it on a Tuesday. And then on that Tuesday, I might have added something new in, which really worked. So I'd changed the routine slightly. And then I was slowly building that routine for myself. You can also try a range of different skills or psychological skills. So it could be self-talk that really works for you. It could be imagery, like visualizing. It could be just taking a really deep breath. It could be something like taking a belly breath, just taking that deep breath, calming your system down. That could be enough for you to just have that pre-performance routine. I think of someone like Cristiano Ronaldo. Before he's about to take a free kick, he takes a big breath, and that calms himself or focuses himself. That might just, I don't know, but that might just be his pre-performance routine, that big breath. And then he's actually executing a lot more underneath that. I'm sure there's layers to it. But that could be the first step, just taking a breath, building out that practice. Hey, if you've enjoyed that video, then you can click right here to watch the full unedited version of that episode. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel by clicking the button below. I'll see you soon.